On the 1st of January next year, the rules barring Bulgarians and Romanians from full employment rights in the United Kingdom will be lifted. This means they can have access to jobs and benefits here and across the EU. Although no one knows how many are likely to or want to come to Britain, the UKIP leader Nigel Farage has claimed there'll be a new wave of immigration. But the Bulgarians, are they really desperate themselves to come here? Our Foreign Affairs correspondent Jonathan Rugman travelled with Nigel Farage to the Bulgarian capital, Sofia, to find out.
Bulgaria, one of the poorest countries in Europe. Average salary around £400 a month. And today, welcoming an unlikely visitor.
I think it is completely irresponsible, wrong, in fact damn stupid, to be opening up our doors to 29 million people from Romania and Bulgaria. If I was a Bulgarian, I'd be packing my bags now, wanting to come to Britain.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Nice day.
Yes.
So what will Nigel Farage make of the Bulgarians? And what will this Balkan nation of over 7 million people make of him?
I haven't got time for any of this UKIP nonsense.
I've invited one of Britain's most outspoken politicians to find out if his fear of a flood of immigrants is justified or not.
I'm not saying anything against Bulgarian people. I wish them well. But the National Health Service, our primary school system, child benefit, I think we've reached a point where I feel very strongly, and I think the majority of Britons feel very strongly, that really that's for us. You know, we've paid for generations into this. We shouldn't be opening it up to many other parts of Europe.
This is our first stop, the shanty town of Faculteta, home to some 60,000 Roma or gypsies. Unemployment here is over 70%. None of these children are in school, even though it's the middle of the day. The speed bumps here are designed to prevent joyriding neo-Nazi skinheads from attacking the most discriminated against minority in the EU. What worries Nigel Farage is that from next January, all these EU citizens will be entitled to move to the UK without a work permit and claim benefits. People like the Mladenov family, living with no central heating and no hope of getting a job.
Слизаме надолу по кофите, ние ходиме ромите. Слизаме да изкарваме един хляб на децата ни, те ни хващат надолу, бият ни.
From next year, if you wanted to, you could move to London, where the British government would give you somewhere to live that's heated, a chance of work, and you'd be financially a lot better off. Do you think that'll be attractive to people living here?
Не.
Не?
Не. Там много дъждове, много такова. Не сме свикнали, ние сме тук родени, камъка си тежи на местото. Ние си обичаме родината, тук искаме да живееме. Няма как да стане.
It wasn't what the Englishman in tweed was expecting, and the son of a local gypsy leader seemed to confirm it.
They don't want to move from here. They don't want, because they're born here and they want to stay here.
Right, well, you may be right. I don't know. I mean, I'm here on a fact-finding mission.
As much as I know, they would like to stay here.
So maybe Britain won't spell bingo for Bulgaria after all.
God, dear, oh dear. But interesting, isn't it? However bloody poor they are, the family, tradition, really strong, isn't it? Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you.
The gypsy leader is throwing a party we hadn't expected. And the member of the European Parliament for South East England suddenly finds himself a gypsy king, at least for a day.
Cheers, as we say in England. Thank you very much indeed.
Farage is disarmed by Roma hospitality, just as they seem charmed by him.
Си го представяме като някакво чудовище с три глави, примерно, дойде тук при нас.
Oh, well, there you are. A lot of people do.
Много сме щастливи да видим един усмихнат човек.
As we dance with Bulgaria's Mr. Big, the prospect of hundreds of thousands of gypsies forming disorderly queues outside British benefits offices seems to melt away, though the old fear soon returns.
I don't know. But if I was a young member of the Roma community, whatever the family unit or traditions, I'd be getting out.
Farage's closest political ally in Bulgaria is his fellow MEP, Slavi Binev. Slavi's a former European taekwondo champion, a former nightclub owner too, who denies an allegedly shady past. He was only disqualified from the World Taekwondo title, he says, because of aggressive behaviour. Yet even Mr. Binev is not predicting a Bulgarian advance on Britain.
Believe me, Britain is not so close to Bulgaria.
Yeah.
Not only like a distance. Culturally, we are a little bit far each other. And that is the reason the people from Bulgaria, they prefer to live in Spain, Greece, and
Yes.
some other places. Believe me,
Italy, perhaps.
Italy perhaps, yes.
Yeah.
But believe me, there is not so big danger, especially for Britain, from Bulgaria.
The next day, I take Mr. Farage past one of Sofia's most notorious buildings.
That's the former Communist Party headquarters, and that's now been replaced by the European Commission in Brussels. It's exactly the same thing. Sorry.
And soon we're out amid the Bulgarian countryside, on our way to meet an extraordinary Orthodox priest. Father Ivan was a political prisoner in communist times, and he now runs an orphanage for over 100 small children. Poverty is not confined to Bulgarian gypsies. Over 40% experience severe deprivation, with just a fraction of the most vulnerable finding sanctuary here. And Father Ivan predicts that many more Bulgarians will soon flee.
И много хора не смеят да тръгнат. Но ако падне тази бариера и тези хора имат възможност, съм сигурен, че не малко, но едно 30-40% ще заминат. Най-напред първо ще бъдат тези, които са гладни, тези и престъпниците с тях ще върват.
Daniela lives here with her 2 children, and though she knows the streets of London aren't paved with gold, she's convinced she can be richer there.
Тъй като имам приятелки там в Англия, които работят и са много доволни от системата, мисля, че би го направила, след като има такива дивиденти, нали, за семейства най-вече с деца.
And it's pretty clear to me that really the risk is that very large numbers will come.
Communism may have collapsed, but its legacy looms large here. 1 million people left Bulgaria after the Iron Curtain fell. The question is whether a new generation will now follow them.
I'm not the monster that the Bulgarian press tell you, I promise, I promise.
At a university in Sofia, Mr. Farage is lecturing a small group of graduates on the risk to Bulgaria if they abandon their homeland for Britain. Is anybody thinking of packing their bags, he asks. The answer, a resounding no.
Sorry, Mr. Farage, this is not true.
I actually feel offended by what you're saying, that if you were Bulgarian, you would pack your bags and leave the country and go to England.
I think that the culture there is lower than here, even though the people are richer.
If I want to go to live in England, I will do it. And you and the government and nobody can stop me.
And that, of course, is Mr. Farage's point. He's now in makeup for one of Bulgaria's biggest chat shows, and it's his best opportunity yet to shatter his 3-headed monster image. Do you feel like Daniel in The Lion's Den?
Slightly. Slightly, but I'm rather used to that.
As it turns out, the presenter goes straight for the kill.
Не е ли обаче истина, че вашата държава се е развивала именно чрез това, че превземала блага на другите през годините? Говори в исторически план. Колонизирала. Използвала ефтина работна ръка. Вашето име откъде идва? Farage.
Originally, we were persecuted Protestants from France who fled.
There you go.
Who fled in fear of our lives and were welcomed in by England.
Но ако не бяха именно емигрантите и хората, които са идвали за да облагородяват тази островна държава, жените при вас още щяха да имат по-спретнати мустаци от мъжете, защото са жените първи братовчери.
For once, he's lost for words. His presence in Bulgaria so controversial that no government minister has agreed to meet him.
I still insist I'm right, that if I was a young Bulgarian, I would be packing my bags, and yes, they feel offended by that. Because really what they want, quite rightly, is they want their good people to stay here and help build Bulgaria. But I think they're going to lose many of their good people.
Over dinner in a mountainside hunting lodge, Farage is serenaded by The Mouth, the nickname for one of Bulgaria's most famous pop stars. His dancers performed in London for 2 months earlier this year, but they say they were exploited and they hated the weather, so they flew home. After 2 unforgettable days in sunny Bulgaria, it's time we did the same.
Politicians often find it hard to admit that they've changed their minds about something. Has your trip to Bulgaria changed anything for you?
The gap between rich and poor here is much bigger than I believed, and I think it reinforces my view that we are at risk from a second substantial migratory
But
wave.
we've also heard a lot about national pride, about people saying they want to stay here and build a new Bulgaria.
Yeah, well, that's the best thing for Bulgaria, and particularly those bright students. I mean, they're exactly the kind of people that Bulgaria needs to really push ahead. And they all said they were going to stay, fine. The person working as a waiter, the person working on the land, I mean, they would just be so much better off, and their families would be so much better off if they came to the UK. I think logic says that quite a lot of them will come.
Just how many will enter Britain, nobody knows. But today at least, it's Nigel Farage packing his bags and hot-footing it to the airport first. Jonathan Rugman, Channel 4 News, Bulgaria.